It start. Hi, this is Miss Melinda. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Miss Melinda's Spontaneous Smart Diva Show. If you haven't been here before, please subscribe and check out all my videos. Jump around. I've got 36 videos already made. This is my 37th video. It's my new YouTube channel. I just started it in February, and I'm already up to 283 subscribers. Yeah, in just like 2 months. So hop aboard. I'm starting a brand new. I was teaching like I had like some major classes, and then I could just, like, I was going to start doing little easy, simple things, like for kids, dinosaurs and stuff like that. And that I will do that down the road. But what I did, well, you can see all the different classes I was teaching, okay? Go to all the different videos. And you really need to listen and learn it. And you need to stay to the end of the video, because you never know what is at the end of the video. Was that today? Yeah, just this morning. I happened to come across it's like a crystal white bustier with a jean jacket on. And it's just like no sleeves, just comes across like that. And now which one I just got mixed up which one I was talking about? What was I telling you? I just spaced out. Oh boy, I spaced out. Well, I don't know if I was talking about the red bustier. I don't think that's what I was talking about. I got mixed up. Well, anyway. Oh, great. I guess we're having problems, folks. Well, I will tell you, I do have an excuse for being a little tired and reckless. I ran 7 miles, today on a treadmill, top speed on my treadmill, top speed, 7 miles. So I'm a little tired and not with it, I guess, So, just look at all my different audio visuals. There's labels, so you'll know I was teaching like the solar system and neurology, and neuroterminology, a word I made up, neuroterminology, but the Microsoft Assistant says you really can turn it into a word, because everything else has ology also, So I want you all to, I'm just starting a brand new law class. So I've got the first video you see with me in the black bustier with my breasts really big up in the air. So that's the first class for this new law class. So I taught a law class, that I finished a couple of weeks ago. That was called the judicial system. If you want to get to the judicial system, there. Oh, now you got the big light bulb in the way. If you want to get through the judicial system, can we cut it out? No, you're going to have to keep it over here. How did I have it hidden? See, I always got to get myself in the right. I shouldn't have moved. I don't know why I did that. Okay, well, I was trying to show my waist. Okay, there. Now you can see my waist. All right, now, I was teaching all these different classes. Just look at all the videos and you'll see how I was teaching. And the main classes were like, I'm working for NASA just by teaching, looking them up, researching them, and then I'm teaching it on my own private show, on my own private YouTube channel at Miss Melinda's Spontaneous Smart Diva Show. NASA says if you want to help, you can do A, B, C, D. And one of the things they said you can do to help NASA, do things, is teach NASA. And I said, well, I'm already teaching NASA and been teaching it for a little while. So I guess I'm legally, officially working for NASA, just for free though. So that was one of the suggestions they said, if you want to help NASA, as a volunteer. I'm not talking about money. So anyway, we got to get to the point here. I got a lot of pages here. So the point is, I decided just to kind of stop all the major classes, but I would love for you to please watch every video. And I would love for you, I am starting I don't know how long ago it was, but that first video of me you see, that's the first time I'm announcing to my subscribers and fans and viewers, I'm actually going to stop all my other classes for a while. And I came up with this big idea, that I woke up one morning and spontaneously decided. I didn't have a clue. I didn't plan this in a million years. And that stupid light is driving me crazy. Well, how in the fuck do we... I have to get that light out. No, that's worse. Okay, we got the light out. All right. All right. So, I'm turning all my classes into I'm just taking a break from all them, and I'm turning my law classes into one big, huge law class that we'll be working on for over a year. Actually, we'll be probably doing this one big, huge law class the rest of my life. Well, I will be teaching law the rest of my life. I mean, I have always wanted to do this. And I always said also, one day, I always said this, one day, I can remember me saying it back in 1997, so good my memory is, and saying it all the time. I say, one day I'm going to write, film, produce, and star in my own show. And here we are. I'm writing, and I'm filming, and I'm producing, and I'm starring in my own show. And it's not just nationally. My show, Miss Melinda's Spontaneous Smart Diva Show, is being seen around the world in every country that allows the public to watch the internet, which is probably 90% of the countries around the world today. So anyway, I'm turning this into a big law class. I would like you to follow with me. My subscribers and viewers are not watching my whole videos, and I'm working, this class here, I wrote this up. It took me 8 hours, around 8 or 6, 7 hours. I did this actually a different day, but when I filmed it, it was a bomb. It was no good. I had to, cancel it, do it again. So anyway, I need for people who are interested in learning, because I'm not making a penny, okay? And if I had even a temporary job, you wouldn't have me teaching you classes. I would grab my education while you got it, um, for free. Um, so I'm looking for people who want to stay with the video and watch and listen and think about what I'm saying. So I'm starting this new law class. I'm going to take you through a trial. And we have to start from the very beginning, which is the preliminary steps before the trial even starts. We got a whole list. So what I'm going to do is I looked up the first steps to the preliminary part of the trial, before the trial starts, or before we even get in the courtroom. What are all the steps? And I'm going to teach you each step in the order that we're going to copy like trials. And and I'll also have all my classes I'm teaching you. I'm going to get all the steps. This here is I don't know if it's all the steps. Discovery, I think that's in the courtroom. Anyway, let's take this one day at a time, spontaneously. Uh, so this is so you know what's going on. As I'm starting, I looked up the first so many steps you have to do before you go to trial. But I'm not done. I have to research more and see if there's anything after these steps before we get to a courtroom. Because I've already learned in some of my classes that you have to, sometimes you have to get witnesses and do a deposition, which I'm a court reporter by 180 words a minute. I just never took the state test. It's 230 words, and I'm sure if I sat in the hallway like the other girls for the next year, I would have busted 230, but I was happy with 180. I was excited that I learned every word, how to spell it and type it, key it, on my steno machine on a steno machine on a tripod. And I practiced it for a while in a law firm, not legally. I was just practicing in the office. I wasn't taking depositions. So, and then I was doing my internship downtown in a law firm. Okay, so what we're doing is I'm taking you through a trial the best I can, and we're gonna do every step in the chronological order. So, next time I'm researching for our next class of this. I will be researching is there any more steps after these steps I'm teaching you? I will be doing a bunch of research. Is there any other steps past, this, and before the trial? I can't explain it to you. My brain works really fast, and I'll just be keying with my co-pilot, Cortana. She's my Microsoft assistant. So I'm just keying up and researching and talking to my assistant. She answers anything. She's a multi-billionaire business robot, and she can give me better answers than a lawyer can. Yes, because it ain't just one lawyer. I call her Cortana, my Cortana Microsoft assistant. She knows everything about every law. Anything any law school teaches, my Microsoft assistant knows the answer. Yeah, knows more than any lawyer. Yeah, so I got the best help in my education here, our education. So after this, we will see. I will research and see if there's more steps. Otherwise, I just get the next steps that are coming. So that's how we're doing it. I'm gonna teach you each rhetoric in chronological order as it happens to take you through this trial, okay? And I'm going to refer a lot. See, if I was a criminal law attorney, I would only do high profile, and I've watched all the high profile, and I've watched any trial, because I'm a trial freak. I've been watching trials since the 60s. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do it. But you guys have got to listen. You got to listen, okay? And think about what I'm saying. So next class, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you just sit here and space out or leave, then you're not going to learn anything. And I would like you to try, those of you who are interested in changing their life or trying to educate themselves more. You could have a degree or anything and still not maybe didn't take law classes. And right now we're focusing on law classes. So, but millions and millions of people who aren't, going to college for law, don't even plan to ever be a lawyer or a court reporter or a paralegal, they still are interested in learning the law if they could get it for free from a woman talking live for free. Millions of people will watch me. The law classes, those are the most interesting to more people than anything. That and NASA. But we're not going to have NASA for a while. I'm strictly going to do this law trial so you guys can follow me. So please stay until the end. And because you don't know what I'm going to say. I talk after class because I want a relationship with my fans and students. So I talk after class too. So here we go. This is called Law Class 2. So that first video in black, that's Law Class 1. So here we are. This is Law Class 2, okay? So here we go. The chronological order of the preliminary steps to a trial. A high-profile case. I said O.J. Simpson. I'll refer probably to O.J. Simpson and Jodi Arias. Yeah, to both of them. And see, people love those kind of high-profile trials. It's got everything. It's got fame, fortune, money, jealousy, rich, movie stars. It's got everything. The O.J. trial and the Jodi Arias. It's got everything exciting. Sex and money and, just all the exciting things like out in Hollywood. So you will have fun if you climb aboard, even though you're not interested in going into the law field. Millions and millions. In fact, we got between 7 to 8 billion people on this earth. I keep an eye on it. A few years ago, it was 6 to 7 billion. Now we have 7 to 8 billion. I'll bet you there's at least 2 billion, at least, that are interested in law. Even if they don't want to become that for a career, they want to know what the law is, okay? And in a foreign country, they want to know. They want to learn how America runs. They're interested. There's millions of people interested in learning about our American judicial system. So I taught the American judicial system, and it's got like 7 classes. I would love for you to watch those. The ones that are new, please subscribe and watch all the judicial system. All right, we're going to get the class going. And we're going to do the whole class, and I'm going to try not to make too many comments in between. I'm going to try to just get us through the class with you concentrating. And I'm going to keep an eye on you guys and ask, are you listening? Are you watching? Or are you spacing out? Snap, snap, get out of it. Okay, here we go. So y'all listening? Okay, this is Miss Melinda. And this Miss Melinda Smart, Spontaneous Smart Diva Show. This is Law Class 2. I'm calling it 2 because this is, the next recording. All these law classes. So the next one I film will be Law Class 3 and 4. And it's all the same class, okay? It's all the same class in this instant. Yes. Okay, just so you know that. So here we go. There are several pretrial process steps in the pretrial procedure. Wait, I'm trying to get my hands set where I can hold my paper. Just a minute. All right, that looks good like that. All right, let's try again. So there are several pretrial process steps in the pretrial procedure in criminal cases. These range from the initial arrest of the defendant to sentencing and possible appeals, period. The general steps in pretrial proceedings are below. Well, we don't have below. So anyway, move on. Everything else is all in order. That was just when I first started, and I lost that page or something. This is all the same. I got it off the computer. All 20 pages came from the same page. Just kept going down. You had to just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling down. So this 20 pages is all I took right off the computer. It was all one page. It just kept going. Just had to keep scrolling down. All right. So here's the title. The title is, What are pretrial stages of a criminal case? Okay. There are several pretrial process steps in the pretrial procedure in, quote, criminal cases, unquote. These range from the initial arrest of the defendant to sentencing and possible appeals. Okay? The general steps in pre-trial proceedings are discussed below. Okay, so now this we have. Okay, let me repeat that sentence. The general steps in pre-trial proceedings are discussed below. Okay, so the first rhetoric I'm going to teach you for the first step, and the first rhetoric and the first step to before the trial starts. Okay, so the first rhetoric is arrest. Okay, so arrest. When an individual is arrested, they are taken into police custody, and they are no longer free to leave or move about as they wish. Okay, get this away from here. This is too messed up. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so arrest continued. Okay, arrest continued. Physical restraints, such as handcuffs, are not necessary to constitute an arrest, period. All that is required for an arrest is law enforcement authority, over an individual, period. There are two situations in which an arrest may occur. Okay. 1, when a law enforcement officer observes an individual, I got to talk a little softer, observes an individual commit a crime. Okay. And then semicolon. The next one, when a law enforcement officer has, quote, probable cause, unquote, to believe that an individual has already committed or going to commit a crime, period. Okay, the next rhetoric, okay, this is the preliminary steps, okay? So the next step that we will take, which is still before the trial, is booking. All this will be before the trial tonight, yeah. So the next one's booking. Once you get the defendant in the police station, you book them. After an individual is arrested, they are usually brought to a police state or department and booked. This means they are entered into the law enforcement system. And let me tell you something, folks. We're all human. And I'm telling you, if you have some bad luck and, a cop gets his claws in you, it'll ruin your life. So you really gotta, live your life right. Take it from somebody that knows. Drinking and drugging, you might be having a ball right now, but it's going to sneak up on you and it's going to get worse and worse. And when you're out there, if anything happens, your life can be ruined in one night from one cop making up anything they want, So I just wanted to warn you of that. Okay, I got to teach the class now. This stuff makes me think of this. Okay, I'm sorry. So let's continue. We're still on booking. This process typically includes gathering personal info from a suspect, taking their fingerprints and confiscating personal property. They may have, period. After its suspect is booked, they are typically placed into a holding cell. Okay, the next step, preliminary before a trial, is the bail. Okay, you got the defendant in the lockup. Now he's got to work on bail. Bail is money that is paid by an individual who was arrested in exchange for the release from law enforcement custody, period. The individual agrees to appear in court for all of their scheduled court proceedings as a condition of their release. Okay? Did you hear that? Are you guys listening? Hello? Are you still listening to me? Okay, bail. Okay, so the last part of bail was the individual agrees to appear in court for all of their scheduled court proceedings as a condition of their release, period. In some cases, an individual may not be permitted to post bail right after they are booked. Instead, they are required to wait until a bail hearing is held or wait for their arraignment. Okay, law class 2, we're still on, of course. The whole night's the same one. Okay, in these cases, if you were listening to what I just said, well, watch this 5 or 10 times, if you will. This and the first video you come to where I'm in black. All right, in these cases, the court will determine whether or not they will be granted bail as well as set the amount, okay? Next up is the arraignment, okay? An arraignment is the first court proceeding for a defendant in a criminal case, period. At the arraignment, the court will read the criminal charges against the defendant and ask if they have an attorney. The court will also ask them to enter their plea, quote unquote, which is typically guilty, not guilty, or no contest, period. Future proceedings, including the future proceedings, including the preliminary hearing and the trial. Okay, I gotta talk not too loud. Okay. Future proceedings, including the preliminary hearing and the trial, may be scheduled during the arraignment, period. During the arraignment, the prosecution may provide the defendant and their attorney with documents they obtained related to the case. For example, a police report of the incident. The defendant has the right to an attorney, even if they cannot afford one. If this is the case, the court will appoint one to represent the defendant. So I just want to mention here, okay, so I get sick of having to tell my education over and over, but all my new subscribers and fans and viewers, wouldn't know who I am then. Well, I got an associate degree in paralegal studies downtown Chicago at McCormick College, at the corner of Madison and Michigan Avenue. You can see the Silver Worm and Millennium Park from the entrance of my school. I also went to court reporting school downtown at the same school, but that was back in 89, 90, 91, and we were on LaSalle Street across from the Board of Trade. Okay, let's keep teaching the class, Melinda. Okay, so during the arraignment, the prosecution may provide the defendant and their attorney with documents they obtain related to the case. So what I was going to say is I'm a paralegal. So if I didn't get the police report from them, like they said, sometimes they'll be kind enough to get the police report to the attorney. But when if I don't get the police report, me, the paralegal, he's my lawyer partner, he's in trial with some other clients of ours, in court, might not be a trial, but in court with other, clients. So what I would be doing is I would call the police department, tell them, identify who I am and that I need them to, what can they do? Either fax or mail a police report of the incident. And so that's like one of the jobs. So I'm teaching you as I go along. That's one of the jobs of the paralegal. You need to learn that too. I'm trying to teach you the whole law system and the way it all works. So I'm going to be teaching you a little about the court reporting involved and anything going on in the office or whatever. So, so the defendant has the right to an attorney we already read that. All right, so here we go. Many criminal cases end at the plea bargain stage, when a defendant agrees to plead guilty, period. In many cases, they plead guilty to a lesser charge than the one they were facing, period. In the alternative, the defendant may plead guilty in exchange for a lesser punishment that they may have received if they went to trial and were found guilty. If a defendant is charged with multiple offenses, now you listening to me, guys? Wake up. You listening? Okay. If a defendant is charged with multiple offenses, they may, in some cases, plead guilty, but here's the catch. They're only going to plead guilty to one of the offenses. If they were charged with many offenses, they're going to plead guilty and in return expect a lower sentence. And he's only pleading guilty to one of the offenses, okay? and the prosecution will drop the other charges if they go along with the defendant's lawyers, motion to do this. So, and the prosecution will drop the other charges unless they refuse it. So plea bargains is the next word, may also involve an agreement between the prosecution and the defense regarding the defendant's punishment, period. A plea bargain, quote unquote, may also be unagreed. In these instances, the prosecution and the defense will suggest a punishment to the court, and the court will choose what it feels is appropriate, period. In some states, those types of pleas are said to be defense capped, and I don't know what that means. Maybe capped, like they can't do that or something. I don't know. I don't want to lead you astray. All right, I'll think to look it up. This means that if the court chooses a level of punishment that is more severe than what was suggested by the defense, the defendant is permitted to withdraw their guilty plea, okay, and go to trial instead. See, if it's going to put them in a worse situation, then the defendant is permitted to withdraw their guilty plea and go to trial instead. They can do that. See, that's how that works. Okay, now the next word is preliminary hearing. That's what we got next. Preliminary hearing. See how much you got to do before you even make it to the courtroom? And we got to sometimes get witnesses for the trial to come to the law firm I'm working at, and we would have give a witness a deposition because we got to catch them before court. And it's watch the first video you come to in black. It'll explain to you whatever I was just talking about, and I forgot. Watch that first video where I've got the black bustier on. It'll tell you. Okay, so preliminary hearing following the arraignment. If a plea bargain is not, and I would be the court reporter. I would have to be in the deposition, keying up the deposition, getting the witnesses, info, and I have to key up the whole deposition. Okay, I'm not going to try to tell you because I don't have it down to a science, but I end up signing, the court reporter, me, I'm a paralegal and a court reporter. So, okay, well, the paralegal, I actually graduated, got associate's degree in paralegal studies, but I might as well have graduated in court reporting because I got up to 180 words a minute, and so that was good enough for me. I learned it and got straight A+. Yeah. Okay, stay teaching the class, Melinda. Okay, so that's why I keep coming to this. Okay, they're going to tell you in the first video you come to. Anybody that's new, I made this one big law class, okay? And in the first video is this class. And it's the first time I introduced this I'm turning everything into one big class. So it says here, following the arraignment, if a plea bargain is not entered into a preliminary hearing, is held at this hearing, the court considers the prosecution's evidence and determines whether there is sufficient evidence to charge the defendant with the crime. It's important to note that the role of the preliminary hearing may, now listen to this. This is important. You awake, you guys? You listening? Okay. So they're trying to find out if there's enough sufficient evidence to charge the defendant with the crime. Now listen. It's important to note that the role of the preliminary hearing may quote, differ from state to state, unquote. It's a real important thing you need to memorize if you're trying to learn my classes, which I hope you are. Okay. And then, here's a new headline. What is a probable cause hearing, quote unquote? What is a probable cause hearing? So, a probable cause preliminary hearing, as discussed above, is one of the pretrial steps before the trial phase of a criminal case, quote unquote. It's typically referred to as a preliminary hearing, quote unquote, or it can be called probable cause hearing. Remember that. You listening? Okay, it can also be called a probable cause hearing, quote unquote. This type of hearing is held to determine whether or not probable exists to conclude that a crime was committed and the defendant as the perpetrator. Okay? A criminal defendant can use this hearing as a defense. Okay, you listening, you guys? This hearing as a defense, because it requires the prosecution to provide adequate proof to show probable cause for the criminal case to go forward to trial. Okay? If you're spacing out at all, all of us, I have to watch my own videos too, because I don't have everything memorized. I'm doing, hours and hours of research. This ain't all just in my head from college. Okay, so now, listening, here we go. Probable cause can be defined as a reasonable amount of suspicion. A reasonable amount of suspicion and supported by circumstances sufficiently strong to justify a prudent and cautious person's belief that certain facts are probably true, quote unquote. Every state has its own rules, okay? Are you listening? Every state has its own rules regarding preliminary hearings. If a defendant is in custody, however, the hearing must be held within 30 days of the arraignment. Okay, did you hear that? If a defendant is in custody, however, the hearing must be held within 30 days of the arraignment. If a defendant has pleaded guilty or no contest and their arraignment, there is no need for a preliminary hearing, okay? No need for a preliminary hearing, and it would not occur. Did you understand that? So if you listen to that, just watch this video again, like I'm going to do. So no need for a preliminary hearing if all that happens, whatever I just told you. No need for preliminary hearing, and it would not occur. If a defendant is not in custody, the preliminary hearing, quote unquote, may not occur for 60 to 90 days following the arraignment. Are you guys awake, listening to me? This is important. You could get pulled over for a traffic ticket and wind up in a lockup police station, just for stupid shit or whatever. So, you should be kind of interested, because the most unsuspected people get, yeah. If a defendant is not in custody, the preliminary hearing may not occur for 60 to 90 days following the arraignment. Okay. I that time I really got it. I hope you guys did too. You still listening? Well, we're on page 15. And there's only 20. So you think you could listen to me for this page? Okay, here's the new title. We're still Law Class 2. I don't have to keep saying that. It's going to be Law Class 2 for the next 50 years. Okay, when is a probable cause hearing necessary? Whether or not a probable cause hearing is required will depend partly on the laws of the state in which the case is being handled. Okay, hearing is required will depend partly on the laws of the state, see, in which the case is being handled. Remember all this. In the majority of states, comma, defendants who have been charged with felony offenses have the right to, quote, probable cause hearing, okay? Have a right to probable cause hearing. If you're charged with a felony, if you're charged with a misdemeanor, they don't necessarily say you have the right to a probable cause hearing. It's coming up right here. Okay. Okay, so you're on page 16. We only got 4 more pages. Can you listen and concentrate? So next class, you'll know you're following me, and you'll get more and more interested. Well, what's Miss Melinda gonna teach tonight? A defendant may also waive the probable cause hearing, which means they do not want it to occur. Defendants who are charged with misdemeanors do not have the same right to a probable cause hearing. See, I just told you that. Okay. In some states, preliminary hearings are held in every severe case. In other states, the hearing will only be held at the request of the defense, okay? We're on page 17. You think you can listen to one more page? Okay, listen, guys, and concentrate. Some states only hold probable cause hearings in felony cases, but do not in misdemeanor cases, period. An individual should consult with a criminal defense attorney to ensure they protect their rights concerning a probable cause hearing and whether or not they should waive the right. Okay, what comes next is what occurs at the preliminary hearing. Okay, I got that one. We only have 3 more pages, guys. All right, here's a new title. What occurs at a preliminary hearing? Okay, you want to hear what occurs at a preliminary hearing? Okay, this is what occurs. The prosecution will present evidence and witnesses that establish probable cause that the defendant committed the crime with which they were charged. A defendant may cross-examine witnesses, and that's a good one. A defendant may cross-examine witnesses. Remember that. And present their own evidence to demonstrate that there is no probable cause that they committed the crime. The court will examine all of the evidence and listen to the arguments of both sides. Okay, we're down to 2 pages, guys. You awake? You listening? Okay. This is page 19. Then we just have page 20 and we're done. So could you try to concentrate on what I'm saying? So then the next video, you'll be able to follow what I'm saying. And then the more you listen and process it and care about learning it, the more interested you will become, because this is one big law class, and I'm taking you through a whole trial, just make believe, and I'm just doing this spontaneously, okay? So the court will then determine whether or not the defendant should be forced to stand trial. What are the differences between a preliminary hearing and a trial? Preliminary hearings, there are several differences between preliminary hearings and trials. Are you listening? Including preliminary hearings are much shorter and less time consuming. Semicolon. A preliminary hearing typically only lasts a few hours. No, it says only lasts a few hours, okay? But trial can take weeks. Well, they can take more than weeks. Yeah. Okay, and I got number two here. The preliminary hearing is decided by only judge, where a judge or a jury may decide the outcome of a trial. Semicolon. Number three, the burden of proof on the prosecutor is much lower for a preliminary hearing than for a trial. Number four, and this is it, folks. You listening? This is the last paragraph, and we're done with the class. Number four, the primary objective of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is enough evidence to force the defendant to stand trial. In contrast, a trial is meant to decide the defendant his guilt or innocence. That's it. So did you like that class? Isn't it a lot more interesting than, well, the phonetics, yeah. Oh, it'll be fun next time. Let's not even talk about that. We won't be going heavy into phonetics when I teach linguistics, and I won't be teaching that for at least a year. Not since I started this spontaneous trial. Well, we'll see if I can make it through. Because I have to do all like make believe, and of course you know it too. Yeah, but I'm going to basically be using Jodi Arias and OJ as my high profile trials that I will refer to, which people find it sensational and exciting. So if you think you're bored right now, just wait, because I'm going to be real soon. I will be talking about Jodi Arias' trial, where she stabbed her boyfriend to death in his bathroom, in the shower. It started. And OJ's trial, I recorded that whole trial. And then I have Trayvon Martin's trial. I've watched all the whole high profile, and then millions of other trials since the 60s. So I've got a lot of education in trials. No, real ones. The one in the 60s was not a real trials. That was a program, a series, Perry Mason. But they made it as realistic as possible. And I, started studying trials in the 60s. And so that's why I'm probably a lot more educated for a courtroom than if you're a new paralegal like I would be. They don't probably have first of all, they wouldn't be my age. They wouldn't be my age when we were going to school. I was 28, 29 years old when I started court reporting. They were all 18, and 19 or 20. So let's get this uploaded. You guys, for those of you who haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It would make me smile. See? And guess what you get to see if you subscribe? My permanent roots and my permanent teeth and my permanent teeth implants. See? Cheese. Okay, so subscribe. I love you guys very much. I love all my fans. I love all my viewers, and I love all my subscribers. But I'm not getting, I can check the analytics, which I started doing, the public watch time of each one of my talk videos. And people are not interested enough in my education. I'm teaching for free. And I have to work, sometimes I'll work 10 hours researching stuff. I'm working hours and hours for free. And then teaching these classes, and you guys are just coming in and you have no patience. I mean, I know if you're in a hurry, leave, come back another time. You could come and go as you please, But I would like you to finish every video. If you're in the middle and you got to go or you got tired like me, I watch all my videos over and over. Here, one there. But I need to stick like with one and get it memorized. So please subscribe, and could you hit my like button, please, too? So here's the deal. What was I going to say? I want you to watch the first video you come to, because that's this class, but the first night where I'm introducing to my fans and students. I'm introducing that first video you come to. I'm introducing. I says I took all my major all my major classes, and I'm stopping them. And I just this morning spontaneously decided I'm turning my class into one big major law class. And it's going to be taking my students from the preliminary steps of a trial and every step in a trial. And I'm going to use two high profile, because that's what I would be, as a high profile lawyer if I was a defense attorney, And they're the most exciting. That's right. You guys are going to have a ball, because Jodi Arias's trial and OJ's has got everything. They're the most exciting, sensational trials of the century. And George Floyd, but I don't want to bring him up too much, because too many people will get upset. Don't be digging that up again. So him I won't bring up. But with Jodi Arias, there ain't nobody that cares about me. A lot of people talk about Jodi Arias, and the family don't care. Nobody cares with Jodi Arias' situation. And then not many people are going to care about OJ, too. Me talking about him. So that's the only two. And they're the most exciting trials to me, All right, so would you please, I would like you to try to watch also the judicial system. If you could watch every one. There's two at the bottom, because I started the judicial system law class, was the first law class, and it was a long one. And I finished it. So you're not going to be starting to study a law class that was never finished. It was finished. It had 4 categories to the judicial system, and I taught all the judicial system classes and the 4 categories. So if you go to the very bottom where I first start out, I'm wearing a black hat. You can hardly see it. You got to look for it. That's the first or second judicial system class I taught. And I think there's one other judicial system down there, maybe. And then you go up, and all my judicial system videos are now pushed down by new videos. My judicial system classes are pushed down to rows like 3 and 4, or 2, 3, or 2, 3, and 4 rows. Oh, and the only way you're going to get my rows, and you're going to be able to follow everything I say, is once you get inside my YouTube channel, at Melinda Ifkovitz, uppercase Melinda, uppercase Ifkovitz, at Melinda Ifkovitz, my Twitter name. You have to also, then you keep personal YouTube channel, and then you say the name of my show, Miss period, capital M, 1S period, Miss Melinda. Well, you can see my name, Melinda Ifkovitz, okay. But you write this down, watch this again, and grab pen and paper. My show is called Miss Melinda's Spontaneous Smart Diva Show. So first you have to put in my Twitter name, at Melinda Ifkovitz, which you can see you got in here. And then you put in my personal YouTube channel. You say that so they know that. And then you say Miss Melinda's Spontaneous Smart Diva Show. Okay? And I want you to watch all the judicial. First, watch these 2 of this new law class. Watch each one like 5 times, and then watch it another 5 times. I keep going back to different ones, and I'll just watch And I half the time I don't finish the whole video, but I end up going back, and I just keep going back and going back. And you should always go back. You shouldn't say, "Well, I saw all those videos, so I'm never gonna go look at the old ones." You should always look at the old ones, especially because my site is teaching classes. My girlfriend wasn't teaching classes, but she had some fame. So she had 3,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. Um, and but she wasn't teaching classes, okay? So that therefore people, her subscribers weren't real interested in going back. She had over 300, you know, videos, and the fans weren't interested. Like they didn't keep going to all the 300. I did, and I would be talking under the thing to her. I'd write her books. Right now, comments are off until I've been doing this a long time, and I just went through a lot of years in a very stressful situation, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but I got it all cleaned up and fixed, and there's no more problems. But I went through a lot of mental and emotional stress. So I just don't have the mental and emotional capacity to be reading people's comments. I don't let anybody talk in my Twitter except the famous people I have in there. Yeah. So anyway, and a couple of like the people's fans, some of the famous people's fans, like I'll let talk a little bit, but they better be on their tippy toes. I don't like nobody up in the upper part of my Twitter in the following page. Okay, I shouldn't even be talking about this. All right, so listen, guys, I'm going to let you go. And I will have to do a lot of research for the next, because I got to find out. We have to eventually do discovery. They've already mentioned in the last class, the first video you saw when you came in here, in black, with my bustier on and my breasts up here like balloons. And I'm wearing all the same bras. Yeah. So anyway, come in and watch this video, and the first one you saw, you probably watched it first. And please subscribe. I would love it. And after you watch this video and the first video you came to, if you could watch the judicial system. If you can't find the black hat at the bottom and the two judicial system classes at the very bottom, just watch all the ones that are pushed down to like the third and fourth row. Oh, that's what I was saying. The only way you're going to get my classes all in the rows. I want you to be able to see them in long rows. I don't want 3 little videos. So what happens is when you go in my YouTube channel, for me, it always goes into the home. There's, at the top, right below the name of my show, they got home and video, and I don't know if there's something else. You can't be in home, or you're not going to get my videos the right way. You're never going to be able to learn with the way that Rhetoric Home throws my videos all over the freaking place, and it's a mess. So if you come into my YouTube channel and you're under home, you've got to press that video. Press the word video at the tippy top above my audio visuals. Press videos. It's right below the name of my show and all that. You gotta be in videos, not home. If you stay in home, you're not gonna be able to follow me worth a darn. It's not gonna have my my most recent videos right there. It's going to be a big mess. So get out of home and go in videos, okay? I love you guys. I'm going to let you go, okay? And we will see you next time. I will be doing a lot of research. Okay. I love you all. Oh, let me give you a kiss goodnight, okay? Okay. I love you. Please subscribe and please give me a like, thumbs up. I love y'all. Good night.